Hey, welcome to this week's Star Report. This is Jason, your host. It is the week of June the 8th, and this week probably is going to keep some of the same intensity as last week if you weren't paying attention. Last week, the major things that were happening was Saturn was going into retrograde, and the Taurus stellium or Taurinian stellium was upon us and sort of influence us with that energy. And so this week, both of those things still remain the same, right? So Saturn in retrograde is really getting at sort of deep karmic issues, right? It's the harsh teacher, right? So these deeper inside lessons continue to be something that you might be dealing with over this week. And that could be, life changes, that could be self-image things. All of those are very possible. And then just a reminder of the Taurinian stellium, or the signs that are in Taurus that are affecting us, is Uranus, Mercury, Venus, and the North Node, causing us to have to learn how to learn about communication, or learn how to communicate, like I'm trying to do right now. Radical changes with Uranus, love and jealousy, right? And then the North Node, things we need to develop, right? So we're developing skills in these areas that we might not have, or we're developing better skills in these areas to help us move into this Aquarian age even more, right? And so the Aquarian age that we're in is about spiritual growth, about being the container for spiritual energy. And so this week is really going to start to push at that. The thing that is happening beginning today and into tomorrow, which is being layered on top of that retrograde of Saturn and then the Taurinian stellium, is the I think they call it a kite, which is just four things in the sky around our geolocation, and that is going to be the sun, the moon, Pluto, and Neptune. And so if we were already inwardly focused, or we were concerned that the things that are happening in our society were affecting us at an emotional level, and then also we were worried about the future and the development of ourselves with economic woes and just things culturally that have been in flux or shifting either towards a direction that we were happy for, so that we think things are going to a new thing, or things that are collapsing in our mind or in our viewpoint that we wish would stay. So all those kinds of things were what we were sort of paying attention to. And so the energy of this Pluto and Neptune, Pluto is about, and of course, I started doing the Star Report several months ago when Pluto began going in retrograde and was returning back to the same place as 1776 that it was in the location. So that whole idea of revolution is still sort of key, and it's still in retrograde. And so Pluto itself is about the hidden, the subconscious, the things that are going on the inside, thoughts, feelings, emotions that we may or may not have known were making us operate in the world the way we were, whether that is from lack of self-reflection, or whether that's from trauma that's happened earlier on that sort of dampened our ability to look at ourselves and to see ourselves for what we truly are, which, if you've listened to the report before, you're a divine eternal soul that's never going to die. And so what you're really doing is undergoing a revelation of what you truly are, so that you can interact in the world from a state of power and sovereignty, and that these things that are swaying us are giving you skills and techniques and tools and energies to move forward in your greatness, and not to be crushed in what you think is your weakness or your inability to interact in the world, or to know yourself, or to see yourself as greater than a physical form that has a point of view, and then also a purpose to be existing here on the planet. And so Pluto is in the cross that is happening today and tomorrow, but also Neptune. And so Neptune is about our psychic abilities and also our intuition and spirituality, right? So you are having this deep welling up that there is a spiritual component to what's happening inside of you, but also on the surface of the planet and in the cosmos. And that spiritual component is starting to make itself known, which is what it should be doing, because we're into the age of Aquarius, right? Where we become our own inner light, where we become our own beacon of the light for the world, where we become sort of glowing in the nature of how imminent or how big we are as a soul. And so that also Neptune is about compassion. And so compassion is the ability to look at and empathize and understand the other, but not necessarily take on what we're seeing's point of view, right? So it's the ability to see a thought, but not have that thought become you, or have that thought even change your mind, right? So it's the ability to empathize with different points of view, right? And so if we're in this revolutionary stage of Pluto and seeing these things either grow the way we want or fall apart the way we don't, then if we can have this deep compassion brought on by Neptune, then we can sort of see other people's points of view, and instead of further schisming from others in society, we can sort of find what is at the core of our humanness and what is a human soul's purpose here on the planet, and then how can we use the energies of these changes in the stars to sort of create something brand new, whether that's starting as a base of things that are happening that you like, or starting as a base of rebuilding something that has fallen apart that you think is necessary for the society and your personal life to live in, right? And so that's crosses also with the sun and the moon, right? And so that's solar energy. Solar energy is forceful energy. Solar energy is third eye activating, right? So it's activating your ability to see those things, right? To see beyond the physical eyes and to sort of know, have this, like we were just talking about with Neptune, the psychic intuition is being encouraged by the sun, right? So it's activated. And then the moon, right, which is the divine feminine. So sun is divine masculine, moon is divine feminine, to magnetize what you need to know out of that awakening into your own sphere, right? And so when we have this kite with this Taurinian energy that we've been working with for the last couple of weeks, and then we have this deep lesson of Saturn retrograde to be teaching us what's going on, we might have a whole lot of things that are happening. And I don't want to say that might be overwhelming, but lots of us, when we can't, or when we're forced to not be outwardly focused, right? And so outward focus will allow us to watch the news and see maybe a famous show trial about relationships, and start to look at that and discern and talk about what that is, instead of looking at ourselves. Or if we're paying attention and we really like a lot of news or reality TV, or maybe we're on YouTube channels like this one, finding out what's going on, right? It's that outward focus. And so all of these planets that are happening to you right now is an inward focus, not what is happening out here, not what is the cosmos, but what is this interstellar inside that you have going on. And that's being the stellium, the kite, the retrogrades are all causing you to look inward. And then the solar weather that I usually talk about, which usually affects us, the sun has been, I don't call it dormant, but the sun has been not flaring as much as it could in the coronal holes, those little dark spots on the sun. Those have been smaller. So the force coming out of the sun at us is a sort of a dip right now. And so a lot of what's been happening is filament eruptions, but those eruptions haven't been leaving the surface of the sun. They've been sort of building up inside. And so this energy of all this inward focus has two things, right? Or maybe more than two, right? So when we have things like the sun, which aren't erupting and usually do, what it's doing is it's sort of building its capacity to erupt with this inwardly focused eruptions and charges that are activating the inward sun. The same thing is happening to us with all of this energy. And so we get to look inside and what is building, right? And so two things can erupt. The things that we no longer need can erupt, and that might be an anger sort of eruption that sort of happens for you. And that's totally fine, right? Just notice that those things are coming up to leave. And then some things that could be coming to, it could be this eruption of what we're building, right? This deep spiritual understanding of yourself, this revolution of a soul could be being born, right? So an eruption could be a new birth of a new you, right? And so that's coming up. Other than that, calm week until the end of the week. I believe it should be next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, depending on when you check the peak. I think Tuesday is the actual day of the full moon. This full moon coming up this week is the super full moon. And the super full moon just means that it's bigger in the sky, so closer to the earth. And so you want to sort of think that if you're waiting to have things come out of you that you are discerning that you don't want to carry anymore, this super full moon on Tuesday is going to be a great time to let that go. You can let that go a couple of ways by just letting it go. You can go have a fire circle or a little fire pit out back and throw all the things that you want to release into the fire. I know it's really hot here down in the South in Texas. But small campfire. You don't have to be a huge bonfire, and just sort of have a ceremony that way on the full moon. Might be a lot of bugs out with all the light, but that's fine. Those kinds of little irritations that are coming up while you're getting rid of things are normal, and are building your capacity to let the minor things go away and sort of focus on what needs to be done. So that's going to be happening on Tuesday. But the super full moon, when it's so close to the Earth, almost functions like a magnet, right? So, if you get two magnets in your hands and you're trying to see how close you can get them before they snap together, right? When the moon is closer to the planet, it's got stronger pull. And so it's that time where it makes it easier to release those things, right? And so this week is going to be a lot of inner work. So it might feel calm or peaceful, or it might feel uncomfortable if you don't like, or you haven't had a high opinion of yourself. That this week might feel even more difficult than when things are happening and you can look outward to, oh, the stars are causing this, or, when Mercury retrograde is happening, my computer didn't work or my car broke. All of these things that were external are now coming home to roost of what is happening, what is welling up, what is being changed or evolved inside of you. And so you might feel slightly more nervous than you would if there were a bunch of solar flares causing heart palpitations, because there is so much self-generated energy and so much inward focus that you become nervous that you're not doing enough, that you're stagnant, and that there's this eruption that's about to happen and you don't know what it's going to look like. And you haven't done a whole lot of planning, or maybe you haven't done a whole lot of planning about what you want it to look like. And so you're building this tension of this new creation of you, and you're not quite sure what that's going to do. And so that sometimes causes a lot of tension and nerves and a little bit of anxiety. And so that is going to be normal, and that is okay. The explosion or the release of that should be at least by Tuesday with that super full moon. And then the rest of the week will be back on Wednesday to tell you what else is happening. The sun doesn't look like it's going to be starting to flare or have a whole lot of episodes during the week. It still looks like it's going to be in that dip. So just focus on yourself, breathe deep, and like and subscribe. I think that's all for this week. Like I said, like and subscribe if you can on the YouTube channel. If you found this information helpful or calming, by all means, share it on your social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, other things that you're on. That would be great. And if any of this energy or this inward focus has you wanting to get into self-development, definitely you can find me here at the shop, here at New Dimensions Crystals and Reiki in Brenham, Texas. And we can either come in, you can call, you can look on the internet and book an appointment and get some energy to sort of energy sessions to sort of help you deal with that inner contemplation, those inner things that are becoming born in you, or something that you're having a hard time letting go. Energy work can be very helpful for stuff like that too. Until next time, I'm wishing you many blessings.